episode 252 of the Late Night Vision Show. Welcome back. We've got a great show for you today. We're doing another scope review. Before we jump into the review of and talk about what we're going to be talking about, going to bring in the owner of Outdoor Legacy, Mr. Jason Robertson. Hey, man. You having a good day?
What's going on?
Yeah, it's good.
So we're going to talk about it before we talk about it.
We're going to talk about it before we talk about it.
That's what I got out of
Yes,
that.
sir. Yes, sir.
Awesome. All right. Well, tell them what we're going to talk about before we talk about it.
Yeah, we are going to be reviewing today the iRay Rico GL35, or the Infrared Outdoor Rico GL35. We've actually already reviewed, and if you're looking for the model with the laser rangefinder, I was talking to a guy earlier that was getting them a little bit confused. The iRay Rico GL35R, the R indicates the rangefinder. That's the one that we've already reviewed. You can go back and watch that if you want to. This is just the regular GL35 without the rangefinder. We're going to be talking about reviewing it. We've got it here to show, running down specs as usual, talking about our likes and dislikes, what's in the box, doing a walk around. We're going to jump straight into the review. That way we can keep y'all's attention for as long as possible. But I do. Yeah, at some point I do want to talk about, because people have asked, our coyote hunting tournament that we had a week ago, and people have asked how it went. So if you want to, maybe we can talk about it towards the end of the show.
Okay. So I do want to mention here, episode 235, about 3 months ago. That's when we did the GL35R. I wanted to look that up.
Gosh, that's
so if you're looking for the model with the laser rangefinder, it is episode 235 of the Late Night Vision Show. So guys, I tell you what, I'm going to go ahead, since we're talking about that unit, I want to bring up a few things and clear up, maybe some further confusion. So this unit that I've got right here, Hans has got one too. This is the GL35 without the laser rangefinder. The first real confusion that comes in, my mic just went sideways. Hold on, let's get this where we need to be. Okay. The real confusion is that it looks exactly the same from, across the room. You've got this portion over here. That's where the laser rangefinder is on the rangefinder model. This one does not. This is actually the battery. Hans is going to do a walk around and show you everything about it. But I just wanted to say, when people look at it, you go, well, there's the laser rangefinder. It's actually not. That's where a battery is.
Right.
And so I'm going to go ahead and give away a little bit of the sauce here if you've already watched that review. This scope is the same essential scope as the rangefinder model, except it does not have a rangefinder and it has a totally different battery pack system. Right. We will be talking about the batteries more in depth here. We're talking about the battery life here when I go down through the specs. Hans is going to show you how the batteries work. So again, looks the same on the exterior, batteries totally different. All the other functions are pretty much going to be the same, image quality, what have you. While we're talking about image quality, we're getting a lot of phone calls, guys, that say, okay, there's getting to be a lot of infrared or iRay scopes out there. So we've now got the GL35. We've got the GL35R with the rangefinder. We've got the iRay USA Bravo. We've got the iRay Bolt TL35. There was version 1. Now there's version 2. We'll be talking about the V2 Bolt in a few weeks. So just, again, lots of confusion. But here's what I can tell you just as a broad brush. Whether you're looking at the not the TL35, the GL35, the GL35R, the Bravo, or the Bolt TL35 version 1, version 2, essentially these units are all the same image quality.
Right.
Okay. They're 3-power base mag, and we could argue that one's got a little different screen, and it may, but essentially, guys, there's not a minute's difference, in my opinion, between the image quality. But what this does is, and you go, well, then why all the models? Well, they all offer something different.
Right.
I mean, this is obviously a more compact style design. The Bolt is in your 30 millimeter tube for guys that, want to go straight to a bolt gun, or for guys that just really like that design. The Bravo, very cool unit. It's got the magnetic USB adapters. It's got the really cool housing. So just a lot of, every one of them has got their own little perks of what they're good for. But I just wanted to bring that up.
Yeah.
Throw out any confusion on the front end that essentially, broad brush speaking, put these in a bag, shake them up. You're going to get 3 power out of all of them, and you're going to get the same basic image quality.
So this is
All right.
probably a good spot.
Ready?
This is probably a good spot to put this, because if you want to know what the differences are and what would be good for you and what would not be good for you, if you want to compare this to any other optic, if you're looking to purchase something and you need advice, you can always give us a call. 877-350-1818. You can find all of our optics on the website outdoorlegacygear.com, but you can call and talk to me. You can call and talk to Ashley, our new salesman, as well, and we can give you our field assessments. And these, when I was talking to a guy earlier, these are optics we all hunt with, we test with, we do testing with. We don't just create the videos and create the podcast and just show the scope and throw it back in a box. These are all things that we hunt with. So if you need purchasing advice, if you want to purchase an optic from us, give us a call, 877-350-1818. All right, Jason, I'll let you get to the specs. Go ahead.
All right, good deal. Like your commercial, that was a good spot to throw that in there. So yeah, and I'm going to say one thing before I get into this. Hans made a point there. I don't think it can be stressed enough. If we sell an optic, we hunt with that optic, period. There is not a single optic on our entire website at outdoorlegacygear.com that we do not hunt with. I mean, we test, we use, there may be some things we haven't had time to review, but we use every single one of them. So just, if you ever call and we're not looking at the specs and saying, well, we think it's going to do this, we can tell you for a fact what it's going to do. So with that said, let's jump in. Again, I've mentioned about 3 other scopes here. So to be clear, this week we are reviewing the InfraRay, or iRay as we call them, Rico GL35 no LRF, the Rico GL35. The price on
R.
no R. All right, the price on this unit is $29.99, coming in right there at $3,000. And I'm going to tell you guys, there is a lot of bang for that buck in this price. Really, really impressed with this unit for that. We will get into that here more. So it is a 384 by 288 resolution unit, the thermal sensor. It is 12 microns. It's sub 50 millikelvins. It's a 3-power base magnification. Optically, it does have digital zoom, taking it up to a 12 power. It's got an AMOLED display, 1024 by 768 resolution on the display. It is field of view is going to be 39 feet at 100 yards horizontally. I know sometimes guys have told me, they say, listen, you throw the specs out and you tell us this field of view, but I don't really know what that means. Is that normal? Is it wide? Is it narrow? I would say 39 feet is going to be on the low side of average. I think, in my opinion, anything around that 40 to, I'm going to say 40 to 60 feet is going to be average. Sometimes it's just me coming up with that. But I mean, really, that's my opinion. So I'm going to say that's the low side of average. Detection range, according to the iRay specs, is going to be 1,750 yards on a human size, something standing out there. So like a human sitting out there, 1,750 yards. ID range, this is one that is definitely subjective. Hans and I like to give our personal opinion of what you can positively identify a hog from a coyote from a deer. All right. And our feeling is we try to give distances that are realistic, that are safe, and that most people with a little bit of hunting experience and kind of knowing what the animal should look like will be able to do. You may be able to look at this and you may say, oh my goodness, I can see way further. You maybe look at it and go, man, I can't see, I can't identify it quite that far, but we think this is very realistic. 300 to 350 yards.
And I'll say, and I'll say there's other people out there that would say that that's way too low on the low side. And just to give an example, last weekend I was hunting in a predator hunting contest, and we saw what looked like a coyote 700 yards out, and everybody's getting ready.
This
But
this is a story that needs its own show.
yeah,
But go ahead.
but as that coyote came in closer, and I was telling everybody, hey, let's let it get in closer. Let's look at it a little bit closer. It got 200, 250 yards away, and realized that was a regular dog that looked a lot like a coyote. And there was some small things that we could tell. The tail didn't look right. The tail was sticking straight up. But anyway, our numbers are probably more conservative than others, but it's for that reason. Coyote hunting is not just coyote hunting. You're trying to distinguish between a coyote and a domestic dog. So keep that in mind when you see these ID ranges and what they might be compared to some other places that you see them.
Yeah, and we're also trying to give something that's realistic and a little bit, all around. So I have been in multiple situations, especially like in the spring, when you've got, tall grass. You've got, depending on what part of the country, and maybe it's ryegrass that's come up from the winter. Maybe it's, you're on some kind of wheat pasture, whatever it is. But you've got tall grass, and you get deer and hogs out there in a field. Guys, I'm going to tell you, I have been there and I have seen it. A deer with its head down in tall grass can look like a hog moving around. And so you got to be careful. Yeah. So again, we're trying to be realistic and what we think is a safe distance. So 300 to 350 yards on the ID range. Startup time is under 10 seconds. It has 5 different thermal color palettes. It has 7 reticle options, and it's got 4 reticle color options. It's got black, white, red, and green. It's got picture-in-picture is built in. It has a standby mode, and it has a one-shot 0 as well. Now, the batteries. This is very important. I'm gonna let Hans show you more about the batteries, but I'm going to say this. This unit has 2 batteries. It's a 2 battery pack system. It's got 1 internal non-removable battery, and then it has 1 fully removable proprietary battery pack. That battery is, oh gosh, I don't want to say this and be wrong. I think it's now I don't know if I can get it out of here to look. It's the IBP, and I don't remember which one it is, Hans. There's a...
I'm gonna and I'll pull it out. And I'll
okay, I was going to try to pull this thing out, and all right. So the internal battery. All right, guys, I did a test on this, and our disclaimer on these tests is this is a best case scenario, but it's the only way to really test it. Charge the unit completely fully up and start a timer, turn it on, and let it go. Now, I will say that yes, for a few minutes, I did record some video. Yes, I did walk out and, look at some hogs. But generally speaking, for the vast amount of hours, this thing is just sitting there, and I'm babysitting it, watching to see when it goes off. On that internal battery, I got a little over 6.5 hours. Okay, that's the non-removable battery. I'm going to round that down just a little bit. We're just going to call it 6.5 hours. Now, on the single removable battery, all right, that unit, I got 7 hours, a little bit over. So what we're looking at there is 13.5 hours right out of the box. Making sure my math's right. I didn't say that wrong.
And while you're looking, that's an IBP2, which is a mouthful, but IBP2 battery. Okay. Removable.
It's the IBP2. Now, here's another important factor. All right. So you just take this scope out of the box, turn it on. Again, bench test, you're looking at 13.5 hours. Really running this out in the field in normal hunting conditions, turning it off, turning it on, recording video, zooming, doing all those functions, maybe some Wi-Fi. I think you're going to bring that down. Maybe you can knock an hour or 2 off of that. Take it under really cold conditions. Obviously, that can come down from there as well. But here's the cool part. In the box with this GL35, you get 2 of those IBP2 batteries. So that is the 7-hour battery. So as it stands right now, when you open the box on a bench test, this unit has over 20 hours of runtime. Guys, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, that's insane. The 13.5 is awesome. If for some reason you said, man, I you know, 2 batteries is awesome. I got 20 hours, but man, it's really, really cold. I need another battery. Those batteries are only $99.
Yeah.
So you can buy spares, but you're getting a spare with it. That's a big deal. I don't know any other company besides iRay that throws in spares. They don't do that with every scope, but some of the scopes do. Some of the cabins, the handheld binoculars, they come with a spare. That's a big deal, guys.
Yeah.
It's $100 extra you're getting.
Yeah.
So again, just to reiterate there, 6.5 hours on the internal, 7 hours on the removable, with a spare removable as well. So that's awesome.
Yep.
Recoil rating, 300 Win Mag or a 7mm mag. It is an IPS 6-7 rating. That means it is fully waterproof, submersible to 3 foot for 30 minutes. It is rated for down to -4 degrees Fahrenheit, or up to 122 degrees Fahrenheit. It has a polymer housing with the American Defense Manufacturing mount that you can see we have on the bottom. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And the batteries, it weighs 28 ounces. And there is also the iRay 5-year warranty with their 5 business day repair replace policy. So that is something that is awesome too. Now, let me talk real quick about the mounts and explain what's going on. Hans, I'm assuming his unit does as well. My unit right here, I've got the little small iRay American Defense Manufacturing.
I'm going to hold up the factory mount that comes with it in the box. Okay. So I'm holding that up right now.
So in the box, there is a factory mount, and Hans is holding that up right now. All right. And that mount is several inches long. It offers a benefit for guys who want to mount this on a bolt action rifle. You're most likely, any kind of a rifle with a fixed stock, you're going to need to get this scope back for the proper eye relief. That mount will work for that. You will need a Picatinny rail on top of your rifle, your bolt gun, but that's what you're going to need. You're not most likely going to be able to use the small little American Defense mount and mount it on anything with a fixed stock. It's going to sit so far forward, it's going to be extremely unlikely that you're going to be able to get your eye up there to where it needs to be. So that's going to be the mount you're going to want to use. Some guys just like that mount anyway and use it on an AR. That's fine, no problem. I will say that it is not a return to zero quick detach mount. If you take that mount off, I would plan on re-zeroing. You may be able to go back and it be zeroed, but I would plan on at least testing. It is not a return to zero mount. If you do want to take it off and on, maybe hold it in your hand or switch it from rifle to rifle, you're going to want this little small American Defense QD mount. We love American Defense. They make, in our opinion, the best mounts on the U.S. market. American made, a lifetime warranty on those mounts. So, with that said, right now, we're recording this in, I guess it is the first week of March in 2023. iRay has a promotion where they are including on the first round of these this little $200 American Defense Manufacturing mount. So that is something that you would get if you make the purchase now. We do not know that is going to continue. So you may be watching this in 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, a year, and you may go, hey, I want my free little mount. The free mount might not still be with that. That is an iRay promotion. We'll see. I've told them last week, I said, man, keep this going. It's a great deal. It makes this scope an even better deal than it already is. But even if that promotion ends, you are still getting a mount that Hans is holding up in the box. It will mount to an AR. It will mount to a bolt gun. It does provide the proper eye relief that you need. It will work. We really like and prefer the American Defense mount, the little small mount. But again, that's just an option. And so, Hans, I think I have drugged that out for as long as I can, but I think that is all the info. Show them the scope and show them what's going on with it.
I've got stuff falling out of it already. Here's the bag that it comes in. It also comes in a box. It does come with a short user manual, user guide in it. Just quickly, we already talked about the factory mount that it comes with. We got that with a set of screws. It does come with the USB-C cable that you can connect this optic to your computer if you want to do so. There's the extra IBP2 battery along with a charging base. So you can stick that battery in the base, plug it into the wall with the wall charger, and plug it into the wall, or you can plug the entire scope into the wall charger and just plug and charge both batteries, internal and external, together. It also comes with some cool little thermal targets to set up to make it easier to sight in. So it does come with a handful of those, and a cleaning cloth. So let's get on to the walk around as I put this thing down. Not so finesse-like. So I already talked about the American Defense. Jason's already showed it on his optic. We talk about using this stuff. I literally have my American Defense rifle sitting next to me that I took this off of. I've already sighted it in. I'm going to put it back on. I know it's going to hold zero. That's the great thing about it. Very small mount, very small footprint, perfect for an AR, one throw lever. Yes, folks, one throw lever is all you need. It has the side compartment for the extra removable external battery. This has got a little handle, a little I don't know, a little plastic flap that flips up. You pull it out. Internal battery obviously is on the inside. It's non-removable. Plastic lens cap, focusable. It's a 35 millimeter objective lens. Focusable objective lens adjustment here, around and close to the objective. And I'm trying to be descriptive because I forget, Jason, that there are people that don't watch the videos. They just listen in their car. So
sure.
I'm like, oh man, okay. I need to be more descriptive about what I'm talking about. We got a focusable eyepiece diopter right here by the rubber eye cup. This is a removable eye cup. Some people leave it on there. Some people take it off. Your USB-C plug here on the side. I also want to point out the button layout on top. I really like this, and I really like the Rico design of the buttons. People are hunting with these optics. I know it's hard to believe, but people, Jason, are hunting where it's very, very cold and they got to wear gloves. And we try to avoid those kind of hunting conditions down here in Texas. Right. But you can operate, and this is a big deal, and I get it because I've gone out and tried to do some of these scopes with gloves on, and it's almost impossible. You can operate these buttons in the dark with gloves on. There's enough spacing. There's enough. There's this plastic ribbing in between the buttons so you can tell where you're at, but you can 100% operate this scope with winter gloves on and not have a problem. So very small, compact. Jason, very, looks great on an AR style rifle. I even had it on a, when I first got it, I didn't have the ADM mount that I needed. I had the factory mount is what I had because we sent some separate stuff. Anyway, I had it mounted on a bolt action rifle, and it worked and felt great with the factory mount. But now I've got it mounted on the AR and with the ADM mount, and perfect, not too big, perfect size. But that is the walk around and the what's in the box, which is kind of a new thing that we've started to do. But I have to tell you, I have to remember every time to grab the box before we're about to start recording because I always forget. But let's talk about just kind of our quick general thoughts and maybe run down some dislikes and some likes about the optic.
Well, let's get the likes and dislikes out of the way. I always like to get the bad news out. I'll be honest, guys. We don't have a lot of dislikes on this scope for what it is. I think the likes can go on much, much longer. So let's get the dislikes out of the way.
Yeah, and not because this scope is perfect. Sorry, Jason. Not because the scope's perfect. It's because this picture image that we've talked about is something we've seen for a while. The Bravos have been out for a while. The Bolt TL35s have been out for a while. I mean, these are picture image. This quality of picture image is something that we are very familiar with, very used to. This 384 from iRay with the 12 micron. But I think what we're seeing, and with the change of what they're doing, is more features, rechargeable batteries. Pricing sub $3,000 pricing is what is new, and that's what the exciting part is. But anyway, let's talk about the dislikes.
Okay, so let's talk about some of these dislikes. Again, I like to get the bad news out of the way. And again, it's not really bad news, but I think to be consistent, and we have to be consistent, is one thing that we have complained about with some other scope brands is we've said, hey, you know what? Internal batteries. In a perfect world, we would not have internal batteries. We would be able to take the batteries out completely, removable batteries. And so it does have an internal battery. The truth is, I'm not overly concerned about that, especially when you have a 5-year warranty that covers that internal battery. So again, not a huge deal, but I think to be consistent, we would prefer that, scopes didn't no scope had an internal battery. Again, one thing we have praised, iRay for, even on the GL35R, which is the counterpart to this scope that has the rangefinder, is it's got a non-proprietary, what I call a generic battery, a rechargeable battery that you can buy off the shelf. This has a proprietary battery. So again, I mean, would we prefer that it was not? Absolutely, we would. And so I think, again, we're just being consistent there. With that said, I will give praise where praise is due. If you're going to have internal batteries, which many scopes do, or you're going to have proprietary batteries, make them good. Yeah. And I think what we're seeing here is this is probably the best. And Hans, I'm saying this here without, really thinking this out, which is not normally good, but I don't know if we've seen a scope with an internal and removable combined battery life that offers this kind of battery life. I mean, it's really, really impressive. So they did a good job. Yeah. And to iRay's defense, they're giving you another spare battery, and they only cost $99, $100. Yeah. So I think that's not bad. Yeah. I'm going to continue on with the dislikes. A couple things I scratched down. I do think that it is a little on the heavy side. I mean, 28 ounces with this mount. I mean, to be honest, it's really not that much different than its competition. But, I know some guys are super concerned about weight, so that might be a small concern. Now, I think one more thing, and this is really not this unit itself. I think it's with iRay, with their menus and functions in general. I wish we had a little more control over the image. All we can control is the brightness and the sharpness of the image, and they're in increments of 5. So each change that you make, and again, you need to find what you like, what looks best to you. Each change is big. Yeah. And for me, I normally find sitting in the middle, like 3-3, or 3-4, somewhere in that middle is what I like. But again, there's just 5 increments. I almost feel like if we had a contrast adjustment and all these adjustments, we could, maybe stretch them out to like 10, so the increments were smaller. But again, I'm nitpicking here, guys, and that's that way on all the iRay scopes. It's not just this one, minor detail. But that's my little short dislikes. Now, I want to redeem myself here, Hans, before I let you take back over, and I want to say something positive because I've said the negatives. And again, I guess I mentioned this in the negatives, but man, the battery life, that's a huge thing for me. I mean, to get that kind of battery, let me tell you guys, it was a pain testing these batteries, and I've got to test them separately because, we got to get the internal, then we got to get the removable. And so that battery life was nuts on this thing. I mean, it was just, I'd babysit this thing forever, and really, really impressed with that. And I'm going to leave you a couple positives. I'm sure you've got something on your list, but the last thing that I really want to say is, and I want to talk about this more kind of when we wrap it up, but guys, $29.99. This thing's a value for the dollar. So that's a huge like for me.
Yeah, I would say value for the dollar, and it's kind of funny because and while you're doing that, I'm turning this scope off because I realize I left it on. You talked about it because you turned the dislike into a like. I saw what you did there, where you're talking about the batteries being proprietary, and then you talked about how great it was. So that's very good salesmanship. Very good, very good.
Hey,
I'm teaching you well, I guess. No.
Oh yeah, exactly.
I would say, exactly 100% of everything you said. Would like to have more adjustments with the picture image, just the brightness and the sharpness are really all you got. And it almost seems like the sharpness is like one level is a little too low and the next level up is a little too high. And maybe that's just for my own personal preference, but that, along with the proprietary batteries that you talked about, the weight is a separate thing, but still a lot of people are very sensitive to that as well. I would say though, man, this like $3,000 and under price range and $3,500 and under price range is so stacked right now. I mean, from top to bottom, there's a lot of great optics, and this one coming in at under $3,000 is really a big power play, because if you think about it, and I'm trying to do math right off top, or thinking about it right off the top of my head, there are other optics now in that under $3,000 price range that have rechargeable batteries. But I think that what this has and the capability it has with the magnification at 3 power, it really opens up a lot of people to be able to have a scope that you can really reach out there and take a good shot on a coyote, but also is considered a compact scope. It does have video and audio recording. It does have the rechargeable batteries. It's got the magnification for somebody that needs to be able to reach out there, take a good shot. But at the same time, this is an optic that is going to be easy to use, easy to set up, easy to sight in. It's not overly complicated. And it's going to be with the warranty that shows the manufacturer's confidence in the quality of the build. When you pick it up and you feel it, and you're like, this is a solid scope. Like you said, it's a little on the heavy side, but it doesn't feel cheap by any means. It feels like something that's going to last a long. It reminds me like remember the old Armasites and then FLIRs? You got them out and they just felt like tanks, but they just felt indestructible. I wouldn't say that this feels like a tank, but it does feel very, very well built, well put together. Solid, like it's going to be able to take many, many thousands and thousands of rounds of recoil without any problem. So there is a lot to like about the scope. Again, the button layout for me, and for all my friends up north that are coyote hunting with gloves on, the button layout's perfect. The picture image is great. There's a lot, and the price with all the features, 5-year warranty, rechargeable. I mean, the price is what makes this such a great buy.
So there's one more thing I want to say here that I think is important, and that is the fact that it does come with this longer mount that does allow this unit to be mounted to a bolt action or fixed stock rifle with a Picatinny rail, and you can get the proper eye relief. The reason that's a big deal is there are many other scopes on the market that are small and compact like this scope that do not have an option for a long mount like that. So it is not possible for many people to use these other scopes on a bolt action style rifle. They just can't do it. They cannot get the eye relief. So I think it's really cool that this scope actually has that option and it's included with it. So I know there's a lot of guys like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put it on an AR. Okay, that's fine. The AR is the Legos of the shooting world. Right. You can make anything happen. But there's a lot of guys that are shooting bolt action style rifles or fixed stock rifles, and they need that extra eye relief. So anyway, I just think it's a positive that it has a mount and it comes with that mount if that is something that you need. Yeah. Now, moving along, Hans, as we kind of put a wrap on this, I think this is the tough part without just saying this is a great scope for everybody. But who do you really think this scope is good for? And maybe sometimes it's maybe easier to say who it's not good for, but give us your basic thoughts on that, and then I'll wrap it and see if I agree with you or not.
So just from personal experience, I am a coyote hunter. I'm a hog hunter. I'm pretty much anything that steps out that I don't want there kind of hunter. Sure. In the legal realm. So I like 3 power. It's something that's grown on me. I remember the old days when you and I were like 1.6 power or death, Sure. We didn't, the old 1.6 power, and that's all we wanted. But I don't know if I'm getting older or I'm taking some longer shots, or
yes, you're getting older.
Definitely getting older.
Go ahead.
Taking longer shots or doing more and more predator coyote hunting. But I do like the 3 power. So what I would say is, instead of just putting people in classification by what you're hunting, really, if your average shot is going to be over 100 yards, I would say that a 3-power optic is going to be good for you, especially if you're a predator hunter, a varmint hunter. You know, a 100-yard shot on a coyote is not an easy shot. And you got to keep in mind, every time you double your magnification, you're cutting your resolution in half. So you definitely want to have something where you're getting the benefit of the full resolution of the optic. And you want to buy something just as important as buying an optic that has the best picture image is also buying an optic that has the correct base magnification. So predator varmint hunters, I would definitely go with a 3-power. So I think that this would be right in line with that. Hog hunters, anybody else that is shooting on average over 100 yards, I think this or a 3-power optic is going to be good for you for that reason. If your average shot's 50 yards, call me, because we'll talk about some other things, some other options. Yeah. And iRay's got a great 2-power scope, that also doubles as a monocular that we can talk about. But anyway, I'd say in general, on average, over 100 yards or further, this optic is going to be good for you, no matter what you're hunting.
And I'm going to take what he's saying, and I'm going to even back it down a little bit more, and I'm going to say most guys that are shooting 60 to 75 yards. And further,
I don't disagree with that.
They're probably even going to want a 3-power.
Yeah.
I mean, you get up to 75 yards. So again, but here's the deal, guys. We're getting mighty specific into because I could say that, and you could say, man, I shoot a lot at 75 yards. I need a 3-power. But there could be other situations and things that I go, whoa, hang on. You don't need a 3-power. You need a 2 or maybe a 2.5. Super important. That's one thing that you will hear if you listen to this show much. Hans and I harp on magnification. Besides setting your budget and staying within that budget, which is the number one thing you got to do. Number 2 is buying the right magnification. We hear it all the time, and I understand. I'm not belittling anybody. We're glad that people call and talk to us, but people will put scopes like I'm looking at this one and this one, and one's a 2-power and one's a 4-power.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, you're looking at a 1/2 ton and a 3/4 ton. And it doesn't mean the 3/4 ton's better if you don't need it. I mean, what do you need? And that's where I think Hans and myself and Ashley, the three of us with just our experience in the field, we want to talk to you and want to figure out what you're doing and make sure you're getting the right magnification, because these optics are tools, and buying the wrong tool for the job is not good.
And I want to mention something, because there are people that are calling and they're looking at a 3 or 4 power 384 resolution scope because that's what they need because of the distance they're shooting. But they're like, yeah, but for the same money, I can get a 640 scope that's a 2-power. I say, well, here's what happens. When you turn that thing on, and if every time you turn it on, you automatically have to bump it up to 4-power, then you essentially have a 320 resolution scope. And then once you lay it out that way, they understand. But yes, everything you said is absolutely 100% correct on that.
And so, guys, if you just heard this last 60 seconds of Hans and I going back and forth about magnification and resolution and zooming, and you went, oh my gosh, I have no idea what they're talking about, give us a call. I mean, that is when you get ready to make the purchase, you're like, I don't know. I don't want to make the mistake. You can call us at 877-350-1818. And like I said, Hans, Ashley, myself, we're glad to help explain all that and figure out if this Rico GL35 is the right scope for you. I think to put a wrap on this, my opinion is this is a fantastic scope. I will say to you, I think, again, I know we're a few pennies under $3,000, but to say $3,000 and under, I think I can say without a doubt, this is absolutely one of the best thermal scopes we've ever seen in this price range. I mean, right now on the market, nose to nose with this, there's probably only one, maybe two other scopes that really fit in there that I would say, man, I mean, for this price, that are just direct competitors. There's a lot of other scopes on the market that are in that $33 to $35 to $3,800 range that are going to have the image quality of this unit. Now, they may have some other features and some other benefits that might, be better for you, but the point is great value for the dollar. And once again, iRay has produced a fantastic optic that we're very happy with.
Yeah, absolutely. It will without a doubt, this will make our show, our best thermal scopes under 3,000. This is going to be up there on the list. I can already predict that right now. But like Jason said, if you want to purchase an optic, you need advice, you give us a call, 877-350-1818, outdoorlegacygear.com. I'm going to say it again, outdoorlegacygear.com. Make sure you get to the right address because we had some confusion in the past, but this is the Late Night Vision Show, but we are Outdoor Legacy Gear. So we appreciate your call. We appreciate your business and giving us any business or any referrals is much appreciated. Anyway, if you want to find out more about Outdoor Legacy, if you want to see all the social posts that they're posting and where they're at, you can find them on Facebook, on Instagram, on YouTube. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me now on Facebook. Wow, it just seems weird to even say that. But yes, I am on Facebook now. You can find my Facebook page at Hans ETX. That's HANSETX. You can also find me on Instagram at the same thing. And on YouTube, I just put out a video of best hunts with a scope that we just reviewed prior, so you can go check that out. And I will be reviewing this same optic on my channel as well in the next couple of weeks, so you can check that out over there. I think that's
all right, guys. So I think the biggest news that some people are still hearing is that Hans is on Facebook, and this will probably be a shock to me even in a year from now. But he is
still getting used to it.
Blowing up Facebook. Yeah. He is spamming Facebook. I mean, he is like posting stuff on the Late Night Vision Show account and the Outdoor Legacy account.
My goal
and his account
is to dominate everybody's news feed. That's what I want to put in my bio. I will dominate your news feed.
Let's just hope that Facebook does not enable the dislike button. That's all I'm going to say. Exactly. No. So, all right, guys, listen, hope you enjoyed the review. Hope you got something out of it. You've heard us. We're not going to say it 10 more times, but if you need help, you're ready to make a purchase, you just don't know what you need to buy, or again, maybe this confused you a little bit more, or you're just not sure, give us a call. We are glad to help. We'd love to have your business. Listen, if you're looking for this kind of content, keep coming back to the Late Night Vision Show, whether that's on YouTube or one of the podcast apps or on Facebook. We load the videos there as well, because we have got tons of reviews coming this year. There are some cool new scopes coming right now that we know about that we are just waiting to get our grubby little paws on and do some tests on. So we will be doing more of that. We've also got some topics type shows, not just reviews, got some other stuff we're planning there as well. So a little bit of something for everybody. But guys, we hope to see y'all here again next week. But between now and then, y'all stay safe in the fields and keep making those bacon pancakes.